Does DiSC matter? And the answer might actually surprise you. Let me go through the human behavior model just to give you a frame of reference for those who might not know what I'm talking about. There's outgoing and reserve. Outgoing is how fast you might talk. So outgoing, as I'm doing now, is I'm talking a lot faster, as you can see in this video. But then there's reserve. Reserve is slower pace, talking pace. In working a lot of times with people on the phone, I'll say, you want to connect at pace, how fast or slow you talk. But that's really 20% of the game, where business, relationships, and conflict happen based on priority, which is someone is task-oriented or people-oriented at that time. This could be a manager who's more task-oriented and wants to get results, and somebody who's more people-oriented and wants to talk about their day. It's a typical easy example. When you blend these together, you tend to land in one of these behavior styles. So let me go through them really quickly. Direct is results-oriented. 10% of the population usually fall here. This is somebody who's future-oriented, think about the future. Pro tip, if you're in sales, you got to ask for the sale with this behavior style, or they actually lose trust with you. But then there's outgoing, people-oriented. So direct was outgoing task. Now we're going to cover outgoing, people-oriented. Inspirational, influential. This is the I type. This is somebody who lives in the present. They like to be recognized. They like to have fun. They like to have a good time. They may take you golfing. They want to show you off to your friends, and you start to build trust, rapport with them. They usually have a lot of, as they say, TV screens going on at the same time. Not filing system, but piling systems. Now we're going to go to more of the reserved personality behavior styles. Now, if we talk about reserved, people-oriented, as we make our way down, steadies tend to be more steady. They really decide based on feelings. Now, here's an interesting study. There's a lot of sources to support this, is that 35% of the population actually tend to be more steady. And they tend to procrastinate because they see time based on feelings. That doesn't mean they're lazy. It doesn't mean they're not ambitious. In fact, what it means is they're more of a team player. They want synergy. They want people to work together in collaboration and harmony. Now we're going to go to the calculator, who is more reserved, task-oriented. This is somebody who values information, results, data points. It's a huge thing for this behavior style. Quick story, I was giving a presentation to a bunch of engineers. I was more influential, interactive, telling a lot of stories. Nobody was laughing in the audience. And I didn't think that they were good or bad at the time, but all of a sudden, at the end of the networking and everything we were doing, a lot of these engineers came up to me and said, I really found you curious. I found the stories you told were well thought through, and you had a lot of good punchlines, and I found you very hilarious. And I thought, well, why didn't you smile? Why didn't you have anything? But it was a big aha moment, because everybody processes information differently and shows it differently. So just because somebody's not laughing hysterically on the outside doesn't mean they don't have some type of enjoyment from the inside. A good example of this is Bill Gates. When he was growing up, he'd be quiet for long hours at a time. And his parents would ask him, like, hey, what's going on? All he would say is, I'm thinking. So I give you that quick snippet of what DiSC is, so you have a frame of reference. Now, the earlier thing that I said was, does DiSC matter? And the answer is actually yes and no. And stay with me on this. Yes, it matters for these reasons. If you're using DiSC as a framework to better understand yourself so you can change for someone else or improve who you are, yes. If I gave you a pair of red glasses and asked you what color the world was, you'd say red. But then if I gave you blue ones, you'd then probably change your answer. That's what DiSC is supposed to do for you, number one. Number two, it's a human behavior model, which means behavior changes based on environment and circumstances. For example, if the room you're in right now caught fire, then your behavior would change based on the environment and circumstances of it. You could actually take a human behavior test today, 6 months later, take it again, and I can almost guarantee that things would change, some things would shift around, because circumstances will most likely change 6 months from now, even when you're watching this video. So that is why it's a yes. And the other reason why it's also a yes is anytime you can use something to better understand yourself or someone else, that's always a plus. Now, why is it a no? Quick story. Sometimes when I do DiSC training, people hate it. People don't like it. It's not for them. And that's okay. One guy came up to me and he said, I don't like this stuff. I actually hate all of this information. I said, well, why? Coach me, help me, let me learn from your perspective. And he said that he had actually hired a DiSC trainer, and everybody went through the training, and afterwards in his one-on-ones, he'd actually ask them more questions and challenge them, hold them accountable. And a lot of the vernacular was like, well, I'm already an interactive, you know me, or be a study. And what he saw was a culture of enabling excuses. So he burned the whole idea out of his mind. And I'm going to be honest with you, when he shared that for me from his perspective, I got it. And I actually agree where he's coming from. If you're using this type of information as an advantage to manipulate people, then you're using it the wrong way. Because manipulation is something where it's about yourself, and influence is when it's about someone else. See, I don't believe people should learn this information to try to control them, manipulate them. They should learn this information to better understand how they can influence them, better understand them. And if I asked you that, if I said I'm going to put you in a box and tell you who you are, you probably would say, I don't want to do that. That's ugly, yuck, ugh. But if I said, I'd really like to better understand you so I can work with you, you'd probably perk up your ears and say, okay, well, let's work together. What are you thinking about? Assuming that we have a good connection or some type of collaboration in the workplace. And that's where there's this big divide when it comes to, does DiSC matter? Well, you could say that about anything. And the truth is, it depends on how you use it. Let me be clear. DiSC is a framework to help you better understand your clients so you can have an advantage in how you better serve them, influence them, and help them. Nothing more, nothing less. Anytime it crosses the line of manipulation or making it about you over them, then it doesn't work. So yeah, that's why it's a yes and a no. For those reasons, it depends on how you use the framework to best serve you in the workplace. And I'm going to give you a couple other bonus ideas and a couple other bonus tips just because I'm in a good mood. And I typically charge $1,500 to $2,000 for this type of training. I'm giving it away for free in this video. When you're considering hiring a DiSC trainer, the main reason you're going to want to do this is to break the law of familiarity. You're probably really smart. I'm confident that if you clicked on this video and you're watching this and you've probably already learned this information some way or another, that you're already an intelligent person. But you may want to hire someone to say the same thing you're saying so that can reinforce the message you already have. That's what's called the law of familiarity. That's why you hire corporate trainers, why you hire outside people, voices to help better influence your audience, your team, etc. So what I encourage you to do is hire a trainer and hire them to break the law of familiarity. It could be Wiley, it could be me, it could be anybody in your area. It doesn't really matter. Just have that every 90 to 120 day cycle of hiring that trainer to break the law of familiarity. Number two, I encourage you to take other types of behavior training. Don't just take this. I encourage you to check out the Gallup organization, take Strengths Quest. That's a really good assessment. And just take it to better understand where you are. So in 6 months, you can kind of know where you're going to want to go and what type of areas of opportunity or areas of ambiguity that maybe you don't have enough attention on, that maybe you need to shine that spotlight on more to clear up a lot of that darkness. Whatever that is for you, you're going to want to apply that. Because my hope for you is that you do take this serious and you do take this information, this framework, and use it to your advantage to better influence and help another person or help another teammate or help another coworker, etc. You get it. And what I will caution you and challenge you on, if you start seeing people use it to create a culture of excuses, don't invest in it. It's not the time. The other thing too, though, if you're going to hire a trainer and they actually badmouth or DiSC or any type of human behavior training, I caution you to stay really far away from that trainer. I remember there was another corporate trainer I was working with, and I told him that I was DiSC certified, he said, "You know what? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." And then he ate a donut and walked away. Nothing wrong with eating donuts, but I just don't really want to take his piece of advice and apply it to my life because I'm going somewhere, as are you. So with that said, hit the like and subscribe button to the channel. We really want to produce more content like this, and doing that helps us to do that, helps us for the audience that we want to serve find us better. Because what we do here at Persistent Manager is we help middle managers level up their leadership skills and avoid a lot of those traps that make them appear toxic in the workplace without even knowing it.